Hi, this is Mike Wheeler, Editor-in-Chief at Photonics Media. Many of you who've tuned in probably know us best as the publishers of Photonics Spectra or Biophotonics, or maybe you've listened to a webinar. Like the technologies that we follow, innovation is in our DNA, and that's why we're launching the All Things Photonics podcast. After all, it's 2020, and whether you're NPR or Seth Rogen, you're doing a podcast, and we are too. I'm here with Emmett Warren, who's the host. Hey there, Emmett.
Hey, Mike. Just a quick point of order. Seth Rogen, I don't know if he has a podcast. Did you mean Joe Rogan?
Probably. I guess that really illustrates the generational divide between interview and interviewee. Okay, so you joined us a few months ago. What did you do before that?
Well, I feel like a journalist wading through the treacherous waters of physics. Before this, I was just trying to make a buck where I could, whether it's donating blood or shouting on the street corner as a town crier, ringing my bell, hoping someone would hear my stories. And thankfully, one day, Mike, you took me off the street, let me trade in my bell for a microphone, and here we are.
So we've got a town crier doing our podcast series. Okay, let's talk about the podcast. You've already interviewed some notable people in the industry that our listeners are going to get to hear from directly. One of them is Jürgen Popp. He's made significant contributions in the world of biophotonics. What did he have to tell you about Raman spectroscopy and disease detection?
Yeah, it's really interesting, the variety of guests that we got to get onto this podcast. It's really exciting, and what Dr. Popp and his team is doing is just really fascinating stuff. The breakthrough technology in disease detection with spectroscopy is very cool, and actually, here's a clip of him talking about that.
And with this combination of techniques, it may then be possible to detect the presence of plaque in the ocular fundus at a very early stage. This means long before any symptoms appear.
Another big name in the industry is Aydogan Ozcan. You talked to him too. He brought up the concept of democratization of technology. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's really interesting what all these big tech companies are doing, reaching out to the developing worlds and the less affluent regions to make their technology a little bit more accessible. And what Dr. Ozcan and his team at UCLA are doing is no exception of how they're using technology in diagnostic areas to help in the biomedical field. It's really fascinating. Here's actually a clip of him talking about that.
So my lab in general aims to democratize advanced measurement tools so that their functions, their performance levels match what you expect from lab-grade counterparts, but they should be portable, cost-effective, and they should work in harsh environments with least training.
It's not only been about diagnostics. You also interviewed longtime friend Walter Burgess of Power Technology. Turns out that lasers are helping to keep movie theaters relevant in this age of Netflix. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was really great to have our friend Walter Burgess on the podcast to explain what his company Power Technology is doing in the movie theater industry, with this growing consensus that maybe streaming is taking over. The technology that they're working on as far as, replacing old bulbs with lasers and making the picture more exciting and vivid for their viewers is really cool stuff. Here's Walter Burgess talking about that in our conversation.
Going to the movies is about more than just a picture and some sound. It's really about experiencing a common bond and a common experience with other, call them like-minded individuals, other fans.
Another of your subjects was Ben Schmidt from Harvard, and readers of the January issue of Photonics Spectra may recognize that name from a feature on the BICEP Array project in Antarctica. What did he have to say about that project, and what do we stand to learn as a human race about the origins of the universe?
Trying to capture this idea of the universe being formed over 14 billion years ago, it's mind-boggling, but just to see the work that Ben Schmidt and his team at Harvard were able to do and what they're still doing, capturing these cosmic microwaves is, it's complex, it's interesting, and it's going to be really relevant for our listeners when they get to that episode. Here's a clip of Ben talking about just the science behind all of that.
We're in a field that's really unique. Experimental cosmology is a unique physical science because it uses the entire observable universe as basically a laboratory within which observations of large-scale physical phenomena can help physicists answer some of the most fundamental questions, in all of science. the largest scales of the universe.
Good stuff. So tell us about the music.
This project is really exciting. It's giving us an opportunity to work with a lot of talented artists across the country. We're going for this really big theme where we're talking about really deep topics, and we want the mode of the music that we're using to match that. So we're able to use original music that listeners are going to be able to hear and follow along with, and hopefully have a wide variety of really exciting and relevant tunes that match what we're going for with this podcast.
Thanks, Emmett. You can find all things Photonics on Apple Podcasts, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcasting app. The first full episode will be posted January 28th.